Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Bookmarch, and this is my bookish week for Sunday, July 14th. I have a watch with the date right in it, and I just looked, but it's so tiny. It's so tiny that for me, somebody who's extremely nearsighted, I either have to do this or I have to take my glasses off to see it. So, oh well, it is the 14th. My watch says so. So this is my bookish week, and I think this may be my new time for posting because I usually film on Saturdays, and today is Sunday. I spent the entire day yesterday doing almost nothing. I took 2 naps in one day. I don't even think I showered. I stayed in my pajamas, and my daughter and I started a Gilmore Girls watch-a-thon, marathon. We started the series, and hopefully she will abide by my wishes to make that a her and I show instead of her watching it whenever she feels like it. Because I was banned from watching any of our other shows in advance. I think she's flipping me off in the background. So that was my Saturday. So my bookish week videos may come later in the day on Sundays, but it's here. Here it is. So I finished 2 books last week, and I'm currently reading 2 books. So let me tell you about those. The first book I finished was on audio, and it is Clanlands by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish. Sam Heughan is Jamie Fraser on the Starz series of Outlander. And Graham McTavish plays his uncle Dougal Mackenzie. And they did this book of them touring Scotland in an RV and talking about the Scottish countryside, Scottish history, their experiences on Outlander, their experiences in the acting world and their careers. And it was fun to listen to on audio. It was kind of a fun, light audiobook to listen to in the car. The most interesting parts of it were when they were talking about actual Scottish history and Highland history. Really interesting in that they kind of used the Outlander series as a jumping off point to discuss Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Highlanders and the battle at Culloden, Scottish clan, how the Scottish clans were formed and their culture. And so that was really interesting to me. They talked a lot about different rulers, the cultural ways that Scottish people lived on the Highland countryside, the different battles and armies and all of that. That was super fascinating. It got kind of goofy because the 2 of them are in this RV and they're bantering with each other. And it was constantly a case of, well, you had to be there. The inside jokes, the things that were funny to them but weren't that funny to the listener. And that was throughout the book. But it was fine. It was a little goofy. It was a little, like, all right, get to the good stuff again. And the other thing I liked about it was listening to them talk about Outlander and how the TV show was being filmed and the backstories about the other actors. And that was a lot of fun as well. Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish are narrating the book, and I could listen to Sam Heughan pretty much all day. He is my favorite Outlander character from this TV show, Jamie Fraser, of course. And so his voice is very smooth and very Scottish. So it was a pleasure listening to him. Graham McTavish has a British accent, which is interesting. He's of Scottish ancestry. His parents were Scottish, but he sounds British. And it was funny to hear them talk about themselves and each other, because Graham McTavish is more of a Hollywood LA type of star person, and Sam Heughan is not. He's more of a rough and tumble kind of a young prankster guy. So that was fun. It was fun to listen to them describe each other, talk about themselves. Again, it got a little too goofy, a little too, bantery and teasing and that type of thing. But it was interesting for Scottish history. But I think if I want to learn more about that, I will probably search out something more serious or chronologically accurate But it was fun. It was a fun listen. The other book I finished in print is the third in the Dublin Murder Squad series by Tana French. This is Faithful Place. And I don't remember the last time I read. I don't remember when I read the second book, which was The Likeness. I love Tana French, and I love the Dublin Murder Squad. And what I've come to realize, and I think I knew this already, but you don't have to read the books in order. There's definitely an order that she wrote them in. But each one of the books concentrates on a different character in the Dublin Murder Squad. So this is basically a police mystery. This is Frank Mackey, who is actually an undercover officer. He's not part of the murder squad, but he works with them. And Faithful Place is very much a domestic police thriller. He is an undercover officer who has been estranged from his family, his birth family, for decades. And there's a lot of traumatic background in the family of 5 children, 5 adult children. This goes back and forth in flashbacks. So let me read a little bit of the back. It's back in 1985. Frank Mackey was 19 years old, and he was secretly going out with a neighborhood girl, Rosie Daly, and they were going to run off together and go to London and elope. They were going to try to find jobs as roadies with bands, and Rosie wanted to be kind of a lighting technician, and that was their grand plan. So each of their families is toxic in its own way, and they have to keep a lot of secrets from both of their families, and they have this plan to run off together. But when the night they are supposed to meet, Frank is waiting for her on the corner, and she never shows up. And he doesn't know for 22 years or so what happened. He still leaves his family because he sees nothing to go back to. So he leaves and makes his own life, and they don't really speak to him for 20 some odd years. The beginning of the book, we find out that the mystery surrounds discovering a long deceased body in a rundown, deserted house in their neighborhood, on their street. And Frank discovers something when he comes back to visit his younger brother, and he becomes part of a murder investigation. And it leads into the neighborhood trauma, the family trauma, the story of Frank and Rosie, who never got the chance to run away together. And Frank is thrust back into the toxic family that he ran away from many years ago. This was great. Loved it. It was a little different than her first 2 books that I read, because this was much more a family drama. And of course there's a police mystery, it's a murder mystery, but this was much more exploring the dynamics of Frank's family. And this very tight, gossipy, ultra close, too close in everybody's business neighborhoods in Ireland. But I am a huge Tana French fan, loved the book. It was very interesting and propulsive, kept me reading, and I'm so glad I'm continuing. I will definitely keep reading her series. I am going to be starting The Hunter with Judy Brown, hopefully towards the end of the month, the beginning of August. This clocks in at exactly 400 pages. So without meaning to, I read my first big book of the summer at 400 pages. Big Book Summer 2024, hosted by Sue Jackson. And my next book that I will tell you about that I'm currently reading is, again, didn't have any intention of picking this up, but I am listening to this on audio. So the 2 books I'm currently reading. On audio, I am reading The Woman They Could Not Silence by Kate Moore. This is over 500 pages, and I'm counting it even though I'm listening to it on audio. This is the story of Elizabeth Packard from the late 19th century, living in, I forget which, it was a Midwestern state in the mid to late 1800s. She is a middle-aged mother of 6, married to her minister husband Theophilus. And this is the story of how he commits her involuntarily to what is then known as an insane asylum. And the only reason he does it after 20 some years of marriage is because she found her voice. She has her own opinions. She is contradicting his theological opinions in his own church. She is sticking up for women's rights, and he decides he's had enough of her, commits her to an insane asylum. This is fantastic. I think I'm about a third of the way through. Kate Moore herself narrates it. Excellent narration. I am disgusted and fascinated with the backstory of what happened to women. There's certain things that are still happening to women, but the state of women's legal entities in this time period around the world, and there are places around the world now where this is still the case, but how any woman at the drop of her husband's hat could be committed or sent away from her family involuntarily for whatever reason their husbands could think of. And she had no legal recourse. It is so fascinating, and the spirit that Elizabeth had and possessed, the choices she was able to make in order to survive, in order to continue to move forward, absolutely fascinating. If you don't know, this is a true story, not a novel, but I am just, when I get in the car, I can't wait to turn it back on, even though my daughter didn't let me this morning when we were driving a little bit of a distance, but I'll get over it. But yeah, fascinating book. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. And once I finish it, I will give you I'm sure, fascinating review. The other book I am currently reading is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This is the group read for Jane Austen July. I am not a Jane Austen superfan. I've read all of her novels. My favorite is her novella, Lady Susan, and it's completely unlike a typical Jane Austen novel, but I love it. And this is my second favorite Jane Austen. So because of the read-along, I thought it's a perfect opportunity to reread Sensibility, which I love. Love the book, love the movie, love the miniseries. This is right after Pride and Prejudice in my Jane Austen lineup. So I just started this yesterday, just read chapter 1, and I will continue to read that through the month. And I love it. This is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, and I love these editions. They're the ones with the deckled edges and the French flaps. So yeah, really enjoying getting back into that one. Excuse me. So that is it for my bookish week this past week. What else? Nothing that I can think of. Yeah, I'm going to have a midweek video this Wednesday. Not sure what it's going to be yet. Just not sure. Don't know. But I will have one. Hopefully I can maybe film it later today and get it in the lineup. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of the books I showed you today, or if you are looking forward to reading any of them. Let me know what you're reading right now if you're taking part in Big Book Summer or Jane Austen July. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.